29 more patrons were after over on my Patreon. As of writing, we gained like 24 new souls within 24 hours of part 3 dropping. Thanks to everyone who joined. Please consider helping us get to 450 so we can avoid One Piece ever going on to hiatus again. Something I love in gaming is starting from scratch, like in Grand Theft Auto or the Elder Scrolls games, and so them having a new boat with a new cannon and some new cannonballs feels pretty cool. Might be Luffy not paying attention like he does sometimes, or perhaps he's starting to cotton on to the fact that he does tell some lies from time to time, and by that I mean a lot. A lovely looking sinewy shot. Also though, Baby Zoro. I really like the idea that part of the origin of his fighting style arrives from the notion of just using as many weapons as possible that ends up being effective. That's such a nicely added touch that he drops 2 of the swords from his mouth whilst bowing. See, this is what I was talking about before in regards to the very unique angles they often used in this one and do such a good job at doing them. Also doing a good job of showing his perseverance and fire that he had even as a kid that clearly carried over into his adult life. It's interesting that at episode 19 they're still spitting out new songs, and to be honest, it's a good one that does fit the theme of him training so hard in order to beat her next time. Impressive deciding to, within a weekly airing long anime, animate a montage instead of simply running music over a series of still images. Not walking on the spot. For so long I had to show it instead of merely talking over it because the animators really didn't have to do that. It's a small thing, but I can appreciate how they added the concerned students' worry for him as he walks away. Just adds to the notion that he's been there for over a year and now they know him well. Once again, the wind just casually doing its thing as it should. Speaking of new music, they again add one here that for me gets a win, as it's fairly frantic sounding, which I think fits the tone nicely since they're children fighting with real swords after all. Also take one here for the fresh attacks at the start, no repeating the movements over and over, each swing was unique to start. I know it's a weird thing to win for a flashback, but it's pretty cool that she's so strong she was able to disarm both of his weapons without actually hurting him at all. Speaks to her strength. I also know it's the 3rd reference this video, but that music really is gorgeous and just reminds me of Hunter x Hunter, which is my favourite anime ever. How he was able to give a pep talk way back then during his younger years. Someone wrote a comment in part 3 stating that they think he must have a super strong jaw to be able to hold a sword in it, so I think it's pretty cool that here they literally show him training for that. Needless to say, I'm so happy that I hadn't covered these on Anime Sins years ago, because this caught me off guard so hard. It's a GLPT of the highest order, a god level plot twist, and it gets max wins. That is so incredibly sad, and the worst part is the notion that you're the strongest swordsman in the world, yet she died so easily like that. That caught me off guard, that did. That's so well done, and it should be noted that everything he's doing now seems to have changed and is being done with anger or frustration more than proper training like how it was before. Yeah, go on, take another one here as a clear follow-up to the last win. He's grieving, really.
あの子はさらに練習をするようになった。今の君を見ていると私も切ないです。
I must say, for a long-form anime, this isn't the type of character development I'd expect from a backstory. Oda really outdid himself here in my eyes and created something special.
俺にくれよ。
クイナの刀を。ああ、いいとも。
Now it makes a lot of sense why he naturally gets so angry when the swords are mishandled, like at the marine post where he allowed himself to be taken and during the slope battle.
クイナの魂と夢を君に頼みます。
I'm giving this another one here. It's just a beautiful and incredibly sad scene with a true feeling of honour behind it, guiding them both, and I can really feel it. I'll remember this. What an awesome demonstration of his new adult strength. Jeez.
あれから8年ですか。いよいよ旅立つのですね。
Just adding this because it goes to show what kind of a man he is. Even after 8 years, he still keeps her in his thoughts.
約束を
果たすために。
Stupidly well done that was.
すげー！一発で当たった。
This feels like the first lie that comes true after leaving his home. Even he is shocked to hit in the first try.
音楽家。
アホかてめえ。
あんた後悔を何だと思ってるの？
How he links all of the talk about the kitchen to wanting to get a musician aboard.
なんだか知らねえけど、俺たちの夢を壊すんじゃねえよ！
I enjoy Luffy and his personality. He's nice, but if you keep on messing up his ship, you're gonna get whacked.
まさかこんな海のど真ん中に？
まあ楽しみにしてる。
I don't know why, and I kind of mentioned this during episode 18, but there's really something to be said about this world, about the wide open seas filled with so much adventure that really appeals to me. Having it make perfect sense why he came aboard and attacked, logically thinking they're enemies.
ルフィ、ウソップ、倉庫にライムあったでしょ？聞いてんの？持ってくるのよ、今すぐ！解決病よ。
She proves her worth once more here, figuring out what's wrong with him right away as he's being affected by a real-world issue pirates used to often face. Take another here for clearly showing how much these two regret the cannonball incident. They rush off together at speed to grab limes, and then it's both of them applying the limes to him.
昔の船は保存の効かない新鮮な野菜や果物を乗せていなかったから。
As a lover of all things history, I liked her going over a little more in depth here on it too. This super weird but overall nice celebration of joy. Even though I don't know Johnny from any other work really, he can have a win for voicing like 20 to 25 people in this anime. That's some serious talent. This view and zoom out shot through the window. The small but very entertaining ways they set up the coming stories gets me hyped. Basically what I was talking about when I mentioned the wide open seas filled with various cool things.
俺はルフィ！俺がウソップだ！海賊機は俺が書いた！
Luffy becoming increasingly annoyed with him stepping forward for questions for the captain. Nicely avoiding exposition here, when very clearly the guy on the wanted poster is someone she's angered by, but they don't have it all be spat out via internal monologue or whatever. Have a big win here for it basically being their first sea battle, but also how he deals with the cannonball like a boss. Him thinking that this was his fault and they somehow replaced it already is the height of hilarious. Plus, great voice acting on that too, I must add.
遅えなルフィ。
ほんと
Big props for showing the boat being repaired instead of it just magically being as it was by the next scene.
くそ違いますお客さんスープが冷めます熱いうちにどうぞ
The villain Redestro from My Hero Academia. Most modern anime seem to do a simple style of animation, but old One Piece stands out to me for, as mentioned before and again here, seriously unique shots and angles from time to time.
たった1、2週間のただ働きで落とし前がつくめえよ
This giant ass hat of his. These guys taking every chance they get for a quick dance.
どうですお姉さん俺と向こうでワインでも飲みませんか腹の足しになるのかいなるのかって聞いてるんだよ
Already getting a feel for the kind of guy he is after such a short period of time is pretty impressive. They basically didn't waste any time at all.
食い物を粗末にすんじゃねえ
Yep, this guy is pretty damn cool. Deserves his own follow-up win.
クソコックにクソコックと呼ばれる筋合いはねお客様あってのレストランだぞ
Oh man, I'm good. I managed to pick up that this was Endeavor from My Hero Academia. Also, he voiced a character in a couple of the Trails games too. Actually, 2 characters in 5 of the games, I think?
てめえのせいだ小僧
おっさんが壊したんだろ
It's good how Luffy was sorry about what had happened earlier, even though it wasn't really his fault, but now is standing up for himself and arguing back like this. Even that speaks to his character.
考えやてめえもださっさと出ていかねえけ
I like this old man, he's a good character because he doesn't do this one-sided. He hits them both. He's very violent basically, but for good reason so far anyway.
申し訳
Also says a lot about these cool customers, not literally, that witness this happen and just stand their ground unfazed.
金はないんですね
はての野郎店の椅子
すげえパワー
I really enjoyed that badass attitude from being all friendly to saying, so you have no money, right? And bashing him. That was sick!
もう二度と来るもんか
Not crawling on the spot!
腹減ったやつの気持ちは誰よりもわかるんだよ
Makes for one very unique, not to mention interesting character traits, that he feeds people who could well end up being his enemies, or even are his enemies at this point. How can there possibly be so many great songs this early on though?
メモれ死ぬかと思った
This genuine human emotion and dropping of the stubborn bad guy act was wonderful to witness. That's what his giving a potential enemy food brought out of this situation, and was, as stated, wonderful.
おいコックお前仲間になってくれや俺の海賊船のコックに
It feels like we're about to have a new crew member join. That's a win where I'm from, baby.
おかげでバイトのウェイターたちはビビって全員逃げ出しちまって
Luffy's fun personality really shines through in moments like these.
イワラをバカにするとぶっ飛ばすぞこの野郎
Feels like the ideal time to then showcase the other side to him, angry at a potential comment against the hat.
あこいつで5人目だ
なんで俺が入んだよ
I know it's only a small joke, but this really made me laugh harder than expected. But also I enjoy how once Luffy sets his mind to something, he goes after it like crazy.
なんせ奴は50隻の海賊船の船長たちを統括する海賊艦隊のドンなんだからな
Did you just give me some background here and, like, kinda carve it into wood? That's insanely unique, dude.
でも俺は行くぞグランドラインに
他人の俺にあんたの意志を止める権利はないただ忠告だけはしておきたかったんだ
I like this guy. He didn't throw up a bunch of exposition about the Grand Line. He even said, you're young, get experience out here first, then go later. But it was really just good advice.
さあ食いに来ていいか
いつでも来いよ
ありがとうサンジさんこの恩は忘れねえ
This wholesome moment between them as he thanks him profusely for the food he gave him.
怒られる理由と証拠がねえ。
This guy is nothing if he's not confident and seriously unique as characters go.
続ける理由を知ってるか？料理長の座を狙ってる。
It's so stupid, but it really does get me. Just casually wrecking everything in the background.
めにゃ悪いと思ってるが。
Well, that gets a win for the most disgusting event thus far.
この苦しみに耐えきれぬ僕を笑うがいい。
My god, his personality doesn't have to a 180 flip when he meets an attractive woman, does it?
案内します。会場レストランバラティへ。
A good end to a good episode, though, really setting up the meat of the arc.
この僕など。
As far as a power structure goes, it feels like it's making more and more sense now as the episodes go on and new characters are introduced. This guy is clearly very strong.
お、やんのかこら。手加減しねえぞ。やっちまえそら。
てめえでやれよ。
In moments like these, the characters' personalities are just oozing out into the story, and thus far, I must say, they do feel as though they have more about them than some other long anime I've seen.
もちろんタダで。ありがとう。お前ら払えよ。
That wasn't getting a win until that sly and hilarious comment at the end there. It's a personal win, but this place really reminds me of the first location you visit in Xenoblade 2, albeit this is in the sea and not in the sky, but it's still similar and I do like that. Good memories. A perfect example of how wildly unique and important their ships are to the world. Kinda puts me in a stage of awe when I see that such a huge and powerful ship clearly went up against another huge and powerful ship since it's badly damaged.
すまん。水と飯をもらえないか。
Well now, that was very much unexpected. That's a classic plot twist win where I come from.
もうどれくらい食ってねえかもわからねえんだ。
UP from Hunter x Hunter, one of my favourite bad guy characters of all time.
おい、そこどけパティ。
Exactly what I meant by a building power structure. He easily beat up the guy earlier, who in fairness was starving, but still, and yet Sanji easily floors him.
ほらよ、銀、そいつに食わせろ。
And here we are again. Glad I was proven right. Another potential enemy, and yet he chooses to feed him.
勝ち続けるために手段を選ばず、ここまで上り詰めたやつなんだ。
The wins regarding his personality wouldn't be anywhere near as impactful or cool if everyone he fed ended up indebted to him. Clearly, this is going to be a case of where he shouldn't have helped. Even though you could basically tell what was going to happen, the fact that he immediately went after Sanji of all people got this a plot twist win.
うまかったよ。生き返った気分だ。
At the same time, this gets a plot twist win, as I genuinely didn't expect that firstly, he'd go up against his captain, and secondly, that he'd happily attack him for doing so. Even though there's repeated animations of the people running away, there's still a bunch of animation going on there.
すでに餓死者も出ている。
This, for me, gives the first real good understanding of how dangerous the Grand Line is, to be honest.
厨房さ、あと100人分飯を用意しなきゃならねえ。俺はコックだ。それ以上でもそれ以下でもねえ。腹すかしている奴がいるってんなら食わせてやる。ただそれだけだ。
This is just me, or is this not an insanely interesting character trait, no?
てめえはクリークの回し者かよ、サンジ！厨房に入らせるわけにはいかねえ。お前のイカれた行動にはもう付き合いきれねえ。
I like how Odin didn't just breeze over the fact that naturally these cooks would be dead set against his plan to just go up there and cook them 100 meals to revive his fellow pirates.
そんな客だろうと接客の準備は万端よ。それは食当たりミートボール！
I like this guy, and not just because of who the voice actor is, but because he lifted up a giant cannon and fired it at this dude. That was amazing. Plus great voice acting on him, by the by. Nicely done. Big fan of unique armor in my video games over here, and I won't lie, as soon as he started popping out guns all over the place, I was freaking out.
この俺に逆らうんじゃねえ。この俺は最強なんだ。
I'm sorry, but that requires an additional win. From the guns that can be put away with that cool metallic sound to the diamond-looking gauntlets, I'm still freaking out.
100食分はあるだろう。さっさと船に運んでやれ。ゼフだと。
The fact that this was his reaction to seeing him and that it happened at the end of the episode. This is what I meant when I wrote win number 420. They're really good at ending episodes with hype.
なあ、グランドラインの落ち武者よ。
This is the first time that it's actually laid out in regards to what happened to him. He wasn't just in a huge battle as I mentioned before, but he lost that battle. It's only brief, but they felt the need to give us a little backstory on a side character, and I always love that.
赤足のゼフ。 貴様は勝ってあのグランドラインに入り無傷で帰った男。
おっさんもグランドライン入ったことあんのか。
This awesome reveal, and now it makes perfect sense why Oda had Luffy and his crew be guided to this place so soon into their journey.
ワンピースをつかみ、この大海賊時代の頂点に立つのだ。
This scene proves to be an absolute treasure trove of initial information regarding the Grand Line, how it wasn't about ship size, ship strength and crew, it was a lack of information that screwed him. Just as with the Slope episodes, they're doing a real good job of remembering where everything is on the scene each time.
ちょっと待て、海賊王になるのは俺だ。
遊びじゃねえんだぞ。
当たり前だ。グランドラインは俺が制する。
Feels like this is the first time that Luffy seems to be potentially going up against someone seriously tough, from that side-on view especially, although I know size doesn't equate to strength in One Piece.
お望み通りあの世に送ってやろうじゃないか。
This remains 100% one of the coolest things I've seen in forever.
ゾロ、ウソップ、来たのかお前ら。いいよ、そこで見てろ。そうか。
How come Zoro is still just the best though?
貴様らの相手は後回しだ。それでも無駄に殺されることを願うなら面倒だが俺が海へ葬ってやる。
Two wins here. Firstly, I like how he has some degree of honor to him, as he says if he wins, it will be a pain, but he will bury them at sea. Secondly, it's the realism of him leaving to go feed his crew, saying he will give them time to evacuate, which is much better than launching into a messy battle right away to my mind. That's a stunning looking panning shot there, and I don't even quite know how they did it, as the quality was fantastic from start to finish. They're responsible for like 75% of the comedy so far this arc. It's unreal.
どうかした？
Oda must not be a big fan of exposition, at least early into the series, as he keeps hinting at this without revealing anything.
エラは一度でも死ぬほどの空腹を味わったことがあるのか。どれほどの恐怖か、どれほど辛いことか知っとんのか。
ってどういうことだ？サンジが何を知ってるって？
It seems I stumbled into giving an additional win after the last one, because he does the same thing here, very much alluding to something without outright saying it, and I do adore that.
だがな。
Take a win for the most impressive, kinda non-impressive thing I've ever seen. I'm half impressed.
信じきれねえんだ。たった一人の男に50隻の艦隊が壊滅させられたなんて。
Can't tell you how much I prefer this kind of storytelling, where it's given over bit by bit, rather than a dump truck reversing up and spilling tons of information all at once. Not sure if it's intentional or not, but I'm loving the consistent changes in art styles when a backstory is being told. First it was that wood carving, and now this painting-looking background.
こんなことをしでかすことそのものが奴である十分な証拠だ。
I'm genuinely so impressed. First it was Nami with her wanted poster over 2 different scenes, and now Zoro like this.
昼寝の邪魔でもしたとかな。
ふざけるな。おい、ルフィ。
Luffy basically expressing exactly what I was thinking in the moment.
あの男にはそこに行けば会えるんだ。
Essentially building a solid reason slowly for all members to want to go to the Grand Line, with Zoro now gaining his own rock solid motive, joining Luffy.
他に意義のあるやつはいねえな。
Showing what kind of guy he is that he takes out one of his crewmates for even questioning returning to the Grand Line. Whoever had the idea to cut the music off and really raise the volume on the strike against the ship is a legend! Also though, there's a really impressive degree of animation and unique shots yet again on the listing of the ship, especially the part where the water flows towards us. That was great! Actually, that looked so damn good they can have max wins for it. The way they handled the size and scale of a giant ship being sunk looked nothing short of brilliant in the background there. Seeing Luffy and especially Zoro being this shocked was, well, shocking. It's a first for these carefree types really, and it thus shows the power on display that it shocks even them. Luffy proving how much he cares for his people, that he ran over like this to them, that was awesome. That's an epic plot twist. I really didn't think she'd take off with the ship. I'm honestly really shocked by that.
あの野郎、追ってきやがった。
Genuinely flooring me here, because all of this time I figured the bigger boat the more powerful you are, but this guy in his little thing took out 49 and now 50 of his ships, or 51 maybe, not sure. Was gonna say this earlier, but it wasn't the right time then, but they did a good job back in the 90s and early 2000s with the CGI. I love it. You can see the sadness on her face. Clearly her statement doesn't align with her true feelings, and it's so good to not just have internal monologue tell us that like we're idiots.
お前らの船は？
そりゃまだ残ったやつが。
ゾロ、ゾップ、すぐ行け。その船で波を追っかけてくれ。
It's actually really worth a win for the first time that we see Luffy in captain mode.
俺はあいつが航海士じゃなきゃ嫌だ。
Also this, he's not saying to go after her for revenge or get back the treasure or the ship. He literally just wants her to still be their navigator. Boat scenery shot. That's a first.
鷹の目のミホーク。 The first massively strong character in the anime. Not only was that cool, but it nicely allows for us to gain a better understanding of what's possible in this world.
俺の野望ゆえ。そして親友との約束のためだ。
And now the backstory episode really coming into play and makes his fight mean so much more, as it's not just for him.
多少名を挙げた剣士がいたところ、ここは4つに分かれた海の中で最弱の海、イーストブルー。
This dude just casually dropping some seriously tasty lore onto us like it's no big deal. Using a change in the tone to almost make it appear more like this guy is a monster than a man, which is nicely done.
なんと凶暴な結果。
First of all, that's some really nice and smooth animation on the swordplay there. Secondly, I like how he didn't just defend, stood in the same place the entire time, but instead Zoro is causing him to have to move around and dodge at least. Such a good transition there between present and the past, also in terms of how it's making him feel like a weak child again. serving two purposes here. Firstly, to show Luffy as an honourable man because he didn't allow them to aid him, but also to show him visibly angered at seeing Zoro taking a beating and being put down.
このまま心臓を貫かれたいか。なぜ引かん。
わからね
Just in case, couldn't risk showing the strike itself, but definitely take one here for this guy being intriguing. He clearly doesn't want to end Zoro during this battle, and it shows here.
誓いとか約束とかいろんなもんがへし折れてもう二度とこの場所に帰ってこれねえような気がする。
なんという強き心。敗北より死を取るか。
So, I want to very quickly heap praise here. I love Black Clover, but many of its characters are one-dimensional. He loves his sis, he loves to fight, she loves to drink, etc. 100% not the case here.
ロロノアゾロ
Can't believe I was ever foolish enough to think his three-sword style wouldn't end up looking awesome. Goodness me. So easily worth 2 big fat wins. The excellent cinematography being the driving force behind how easy it was to dish out. Looked absolutely great. I put that voice acting right up there with some of the best I've heard, filled with anger and sorrow. Seriously powerful stuff.
剣士として最強を目指すと決めた時から命なんてとうに捨ててる。
Oda is so good at planning out his story. This was said a few episodes ago, and yet fits perfectly into what just happened and what Sanji saw and heard from him at the time.
簡単だろう野望を捨てるぐらい
At the same time, though, clearly linking this into Sanji's character and what he's going through.
なんだあれは。
安心しろ。あの男はまだ生かしてある。
How quickly he calms down when he learns that he didn't end him is amazing and funny.
俺はこの先幾年月でもこの最強の座にて貴様を待つ。
It's times like this that, between the music and the characters, it really does remind me a lot of Hunter x Hunter.
険しき道ぞ、この俺を超えることよりもな。
知らねえよ。これからなるんだから。
How come Luffy is also just the best, though?
世界一の剣豪にくらいならないとお前が困るんだよな。
It's really sweet that I think here he felt as though he'd let Luffy down.
俺はもう二度と負けねえから。
Also this, really going back to childhood with those tears. It's almost a picture-perfect comparison.
入る前に死んでけ。
さすがだ、コリンの男よ。
I really didn't expect another big battle to take place so soon after the laugh, and it's between awesomely sick armor and great big and equally awesomely sick looking sword.
に揃った総合行こうぜ。グランドライキン。
This anime, and this team especially, is seriously starting to grow and be scarily fast. Darth Weirdo, Matthew Blancett, Mao Liao, The Elemental Awards, Christopher Willis, Draki, Fancy Turtle, Kepan, Minimasher, Marquez, Orkeeper, Steelers, The Epic Commander, Bird Without a Word, Brandon Creer, Brian Bayot, Cameron, Christopher Tarasa, Commander Cyrus, Doggos for Life, Dragonstorm 35, Emmanuel Gonzalez, Aaron Winters, Guru, I Am Here, Your Edvinson, Kevin Alston, Cumfroik, Carly Welp, Lisa Marie Tim, Luis Minito, Magnus, Nathan Burr, Nightly Winter, Peter Milligan, Ruby Rose, Sataka Yari, Zionx 44, Sean, The 100s, Tiger Lily Warrior, Sumbito, Wicken Faye, Ali 50, Brainless Ben, Cecilia, Cedric, Cloud Garden, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Devon, Iso, Garrett Vermish, Gibbs, Isel Caldera, Jason Davies, John, Jafford 6263, Calnock, Kevin Nelter, Kevink 102, Knuckle Duster, Chris Madden, KY158, Carl Jones, Laxor, Laxus, Liam Gogati, Lifty, Lionel Schultz, Marvin, Malcarius, Michael Lewis, Modiverum, Mudini, Mr. Firecool, Natsu Dragneel, Nick Monaco, Nick Pell, 9028, Oliver Smiley Reacts, Q Flash, Ryan DeVirus, Sentimento, Storm 970, TRS, The Danish Muggle, Tricky Nicky, Willyman.